Good morning to you as you join us to talk about optimism, resilience, and leadership, because I will tell you, these are topics that everybody needs to get on board with. I posted this morning on Facebook, come on the optimism train with us. I'm not positive you'll be more optimistic after this, but at least you'll know you're not in it alone, because we are all going through this. I don't know about you, but I believe today is a full month. March 14th was the last day I left my house. I don't know about what you guys were.
Wow.
I'm trying not to count.
I can't claim that. 4 days is about it right now, and I'm ready to jump off the roof.
I have a house full of other people who go do all the errands, and you know, you can't argue with that. It's safer not to go, so I don't go.
Good call.
Yeah. All right, we'll wait a moment or two, and then we are going to get started because we have a lot to talk about here. As you're coming in, if you'd like to use the chat box, the chat function, which is on your screen, and just tell us where you're coming from and what your business is. Just, we want to say hello and greet our participants as they come on. So if you can hear me, tell us who you are. Tell us where you're calling from, where you're dialing in from. You are all muted. This is a webinar. We hopefully will have some time to unmute you and have you participate with us later. But right now, we just want to say hi and greet you. So if you don't mind, tell us who you are and where you're dialing in from, where your home bunker is. All right. Thank you, Casey, for the reminder. We are recording this session, so we need to make sure that everybody who's on it knows that. And we will also be making it available to more people afterwards. Kelly, we can see you. Hi, in Longmont. Come on, we have all kinds of EforAll folks out there. I know there's Massachusetts, we have the Berkshires, we have some Cape Cod. Do we have anybody from Lowell Lawrence? Anyone from our A Para Todos programs? All right, they're being shy this morning. I also know more people are going to join us as we come on. Action Sports. Oh, the Scuba Store. Hi, Amanda. We pass that all the time.
Yeah, good deal.
How are you? All right, I'm actually going to get us started because I really want to honor everybody's time. I'm Deborah Gallant from EforAll, Berkshire County. And I am the executive director here, and I have been putting together this weekly program of COVID coping tactics webinars. So we've had a couple that have been about the government relief programs and some big picture stuff, but I'm trying to plug into what's going on for you in your head as you're trying to run your business and stay afloat. And that's how we come up with the topics every week. So this week is optimism, resilience, and leadership. And I'm so delighted to welcome Linda Dulye. Linda.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
In just a moment. She is the most relentlessly optimistic human being I have ever met, which is why I have recruited her to be my guest today. We try to start all of these EforAll webinars with just a moment or two, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of centering and being present. And that is why you see the third person up on your screen is Kelly Music. Kelly is the program manager from our EforAll Longmont, Colorado location. And she's also a yoga, fitness, and wellness person. So she is just going to spend a moment or two helping us all be present. And then we're going to dive right in. So Kelly, you're up.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Linda. Lovely to meet some of you virtually and others I know already. I am so grateful we can be here together and just be present. Take a moment to settle in and just kind of receive this great information that EforAll is pulling together. So everyone just close your eyes, or if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, just kind of soften the eyelids, just kind of letting the eyes be a little less alert. Feel your seat, feel where you're sitting, or if you're standing where your feet are planted. Take a big natural breath and let the air just float out naturally, nothing contrived, just let it come in and out, a few breaths. Notice that your shoulders might just sink down a little bit. Your seat might deepen into the chair, kind of sinking just a little bit more deeply and more relaxedly, and yet you're still alert. If there's any tension between your eyes, the little place that likes to grab things, let that relax and release as well. Feel your scalp just kind of release the tension as the breath just lets, every breath in brings in good fresh air, and every breath out is like warm honey just melting down over your head and onto your shoulders and just relaxing you, settling in. Now take another deep breath in and let out with a big breath everything that might be in the way of learning and receiving this great gift that we are about to receive in this learning of optimism. Open your eyes now and join me again, and thank you so much. Let's be optimistic.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It's funny, when EforAll first suggested doing these little centering exercises, I'm like, I don't get it. But now, this is week 4, we have week 5 coming up next week. I so get it, and it makes me feel so much more present that you and Donna, who's our other person who does these, helps us kick this off with, I think, a great intention. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So let me set up what we're going to be doing here. First off, I want to just give a wave out to the light bulb who's there. And Casey, you can turn your video on for just a second. Casey O'Donnell is the program director here. There he is in Berkshire County, and he is the technical wizard. He's learned Zoom in such a short period of time to be able to help us bring this virtual learning to you. So you can go back to light bulb if you want. Casey will also be screening things, looking at the chat, helping manage things. There's 2 provisos I need to put out there before we get into introductions and our content. Number 1 is we are recording this. We need to announce that, and now it has been announced. The other thing is I recruited Linda to be my speaker, to be my panelist today. And she's not a psychologist, she's not a social worker, she's not a psychiatrist, she's not a mental health professional. She is a business and leadership coach and consultant who is relentlessly optimistic and finds the silver lining everywhere. If you are in a place, and we know some of you might be, this is hard, this is week 5 of this. If you need professional mental health, this webinar is not going to take the place of that, and we encourage you to go find that. None of the advice that we give you should be taken as anything more than helpful insight being offered by business professionals who want to help you succeed. But we know this is serious, big, real stuff. Like, I don't know about you, I wake up every morning and go, is this over yet? Is this all a dream? This is crazy. It's not over. Unfortunately, we're still in it, and I don't know that we have a date that it's going to get out. But we really wanted to bring a shot of positivity and optimism to everyone, because it is hard getting up every day and making this work. So welcome aboard. Again, I'm Deborah Gallant from EforAll in Berkshire County. Today's topic is optimism, resilience, and leadership. I'm going to let Linda introduce herself in a moment. Let me just tell you the format of what we're going to do. After Linda's introduction, we are going to start getting into the topics. We encourage you to interact with us by using the chat function. There's also the Q&A, and you can also let us know you want to raise your hand, and we can unmute you and you can participate in the conversation with us. Believe me, Linda and I think we're pretty smart, but you guys are really smart too. You know a lot of stuff, and you've probably found cool coping mechanisms that we haven't even thought of yet. So let's use this as an opportunity to share. I'm gonna, right now, Linda, you're on.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I am Linda Dulye. I am a Berkshire-based small business owner, and my business, actually there are 2-fold businesses. The first one, Dulye & Company, was started in 1998. Actually started in the lower Hudson Valley, Warwick, New York, and my focus after serving in Fortune 50 companies as a corporate communications leader was to really go after what I thought was the real fountain of energy and positivity in organizations, and that was workforce effectiveness. So 1998, Dulye & Company was launched with a focus on workforce engagement, what we call the spectator-free workplace. And then in 2008, if you remember what was going on there, it was a bad economic time. We didn't have the COVID time, but we had a bad economy. And I'm very closely aligned with my undergraduate alma mater, which is Syracuse University. And I wanted to make a difference, and making a difference has been something I've been raised with my whole life. How can we give back? So in giving back, I wanted to start a program to help young professionals advance into the workplace, and lo and behold, Dulye & Company was formed. And Dulye & Company has since relocated in 2016 to the Berkshires Dulye Leadership Experience has relocated to the Berkshires in 2016 when I did, and has gone from my very small focus on college undergraduates to really a global focus on helping Gen Zs and millennials advance their career with their own ownership in all kinds of industries and all kinds of vocations. So those two hats are my, in essence, professions. I do, in true disclaimer, I come from a small business family. I think that's important to know, that I never forgot where I came from. Both of my parents had their small businesses, and I was raised working in those businesses until I was 21, when I decided I needed a break and go do something else.
Thanks, Linda. And I also want to say that Linda and her husband, Roger, have been so helpful to us as we've launched EforAll in Berkshire County as specialists. Linda taught a killer presentation skills class, which I know it was really difficult. We had them do their presentations actually online, which that lost a little bit of the zing of what you had taught them. And also as mentors and judges and readers and interviewers. And we have really been embraced by both Linda and Roger here in Berkshire County, and we appreciate you. Which is why when I went looking for speakers, and as I said, this is week 4, I said, it's got to be Linda. It's got to be Linda. So we are going to dive right in. What I'm going to ask is that you use the chat function to interact with us, because this is going to be way more interesting if you interact with us. I did a little online poll this week on my own Facebook page. Actually got more engagement than a lot of things I've done before. Just asking people, what's your state of mind right now? What's going on in your head? So I would like to encourage all of you who have taken this hour to be with us. What are you feeling? What's your reality today? I'm going to actually share some of the answers I got from my Facebook posts, and we'll read some of yours as well. I kind of want to start with, where are we, before we get into the solution. So here's some themes that I heard. Working and living in the same space is really difficult, especially if you never did it before. I have a husband who works in finance, has never, ever worked from home. He literally is like, oh, how do I do this? He needs to get his Bloomberg up. So we had to actually find an old computer, reboot it, and get that going on. So that was really hard for him. Also, he doesn't know how to stop working. A lot of us don't. Shut the computer, walk away, make 5 o'clock the end of the day. But that can be really hard. I know Linda really well as a friend, and I know that this sense of disconnectedness, of not seeing people, of not being able to hug people, about shaking their hand, about sharing a meal with them, that is really hard for a lot of people. And we heard that quite a bit. We heard a lot of fears about money. Is this government relief program really going to help? How am I going to keep my business going? How am I going to pay my employees? Every day feels the same. More than one person quoted Groundhog Day. It's like, oh my God, it's the same day over and over again. We encourage you to share any thoughts you have as I go through this list, if some of these resonate with you or you have some different ones. The unknown, the not knowing when this will end, or what the end is going to look like. How will you know it's the end? Especially with the governor and the president duking it out. Everyone has a different idea of what that means. I was on an EforAll leadership board meeting this week, and they said, we don't want you planning events until August. August? That's really hard. But is that what our new reality looks like? A lot of dread about the future, what this is going to mean for future generations. I feel lucky not to be trying to do all of what I'm doing with a small child or small children around me and trying to keep them busy. And that's a difficulty for a lot of people. A sense of defeat, depression, I don't want to bother. And this is one, Linda, you might have heard quite a few people talk about, is it's hard to focus. I feel like I finally get what it means to have ADHD, that it's hard to I finish one thing and it's like I don't actually finish it, and then I'm on to the next thing, and I feel pulled in 100 directions, and I keep wanting to read my Facebook feed or what's the latest on CNN, or did you hear that New York added all these numbers yesterday? It feels really hard. One of the suggestions for a topic had been people said, do strategy and planning. I'm finding it really hard to think big picture like that right now. Do you feel the same way?
Well, actually, I'm a strategic person, so I had to get a strategy for my life. So we'll talk about that. I'm lost if I don't have a strategy that I'm going to make an impact. So I wallowed for a week and then said, time to get a strategy.
Wow, you're better than most of us. I think many of us, I don't want to say wallowing, but haven't been able to get as clear as we want. A claustrophobia, just can't get out of the house, sense of pent-up anxiety. I know for both of us, because I've seen you there at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, we're both gym rats. We both love working out, the physical fitness, both the camaraderie of the event of going to the gym and the physical working out. We miss that. It's very hard to get things done and lots of distractions at home. So I'm giving you permission, feel all of that, because everyone is feeling all that. Did I miss anything that you're feeling or that you've heard, Linda?
Well, someone just put, I miss getting a cup of coffee. I do too. I started my day going to the gym, 6 o'clock spin, but at 5:40, I'm stopping at my favorite place to pick up the newspaper and get a cup of coffee, and I can't do that anymore. And I'm not a big one of making coffee at home. I know that sounds like heresy, but I'm not. I'd rather go someplace because I'm a social being. I want to stand in line, talk to 4 people, talk to the person who's going to hand me the coffee, and feel connected. So I agree with whoever put that. I miss getting a cup of coffee at Dottie's, exactly, or Otto's, or wherever your favorite coffee spot is. I miss that.
Yeah, Ben, I love your comment. He's feeling stuck trying to stay optimistic and maintain perspective, but it's difficult when so many people around you are pessimistic or even fatalistic. And I actually think that some people who are alone are particularly isolated. And, if you lived alone before, you probably worked pretty hard to have a busy social life. And I will tell you that Zoom doesn't take the place of it. My mother actually is in that place. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna run to do this. And it's like, she doesn't understand. She can't do any of that, but then you're all alone. That's hard. Here's another one that I have heard recently is it's hard to be alone. All right, so I'm gonna explain what that means. I live normally with my husband, and usually he goes to the office. So I have my alone time, right? I can cook, I can put my loud music on, I can watch my stupid television shows. My daughter and her boyfriend and my husband, we're all here now 24/7, which means I went out yesterday to meet a friend for a social distancing walk. It was so great to be in my car alone for 15 minutes because I'm never alone. And that's a funny thing, to be isolated but not have my space that I need. I don't know if anyone else feels that. Is that crazy?
No, I have this guy in the house, my husband. Who are you? Wait a second. We've had enough. We've I love you dearly, but yeah, I think I'm seeing you way too much these days.
26 years of marriage, I don't think we've ever spent this much time together. Not continually. It's crazy. And it's wonderful. And I can't think of anyone I'd rather be with, but it's still really, really difficult. Linda, are the folks that are in your DLE forum all generally working from home, or are there still some people who need to go to an office?
So you're going to hear that terminology, DLE, for those who don't know what that is. It's the Dulye Leadership Experience. It's that second hat I wear, founded and now serve as our leader. And it's this professional development program for rising leaders that has blossomed through all of this disruption. And that's what we'll talk about. But yeah, I mean, I think we've got a number of folks. I would say the vast majority of our community has tried to find space on a kitchen table or in a spare room. We do have a number of members of our community who are considered essential workers who are going in, but the vast majority have had to get tools. They weren't necessarily provided by their company, get space, and get some privacy. And if you're in very small quarters, we have a number of our DLE community members in the city, New York City, in 600 square feet, and a lot of disruption outside with sirens. But think about not getting out of 600 square feet for 4 weeks and being alone. And we have a lot of single, we have a lot of married, we've got the whole gamut of diversity. But I would say, yeah, Deborah, most folks have tried to get the new norm of the work from home routine down.
Yeah, and a routine is one of the things we'll be talking about, because having one, this is a really goofy thing, but I find if I put shoes on, it feels like a real day. And if I stay in my slippers and my socks all day, whatever you have to do to trick yourself into thinking you're really actually in a work day, you need to find it. So unless anyone else has something else they want to surface about how they're feeling now, and as I said, it's okay to feel whatever. We're not mental health professionals, but we know that lots of people are going through a lot of stuff. Let us move to some positive outlooks and coping mechanisms. So I'm going to just actually start. Linda, I know you have your own point of view about how all of this comes together with the mind-body continuum. So I'm going to hand it off to you and let you tell us a little bit about how you're handling things and your strategy.
All right, so I mentioned I was wallowing, and literally I probably lasted about 48 hours with my trainer. Deborah mentioned I'm a gym rat. I belong to 2 gyms, and I have a professional trainer. And that disconnect was one of the hardest for me. So I knew I needed to pick me up physically, and then I needed to figure out, I mentioned strategy. I'm a strategy person. I like to have a strategic plan. And it took maybe a week, but I started forging what I would say is my strategy to create personal impact. And maybe it'll help you folks too. It's 4-prong, and I'll talk a little bit about each, but I mentioned the physical. So there's a body, I need to be well, I need to be healthy in order for me to be able to think through the challenges that we're all facing. So I asked my trainer, would you make me some videos? I'm fortunate enough to have space in my house where I have an indoor gym, a home gym, albeit it's nothing like what I was going to. But I found salvation on my erg and on my spin and in my weights, and with my trainer getting me videos. Tuan happens to be my trainer in the Berkshires. He's Berkshire's best, and it gets me creative videos, and I have a good mental discipline. So getting that body to be sharp, and don't use excuses. I also am obsessed with how many steps I'm getting on a day. So even at the end of the day, if I don't have enough steps, you're going to find me walking around. Well, now it's my living room or up and down stairs. I have a lot of stairs in the house. That's good. I use my stairs, but I'm obsessed with keeping that number. That can be maybe something to help you, having a goal, and don't give yourself the benefit of the doubt because we're not outside walking around. I actually live on a lake, which is lovely, and I can social distance well, but it's just really cold in the Berkshires, and I'm aching to get out on that lake with my racing shell. I'm a rower. So body is the first prong, and staying well and getting routines. I still have routines, they're just different every day for staying fit. The second one is mind, as Deborah alluded to, and what am I doing to stay sharp? So we all now have to become our continuous learner curriculum developers. And I can tell you a couple resources that I rely on. They are my daily consumption. They connect me with what's going on outside, whether it's related to COVID or the business community or leadership. And so my resources, I'm an NPR, National Public Radio fan. National Public Radio has a terrific program called Marketplace, and Marketplace just launched a podcast, 10-minute daily podcast called Make Me Smart. And it's terrific. It's great resources, great resource. You don't have to read it. You can listen to it. And in 10 minutes a day, great synopsis of the world beyond us, and also relevancies that you can bring into what I can do to make my life better. I'm a fan of Smart Brief on leadership, Smart Brief on small business. Every day, terrific news resources for you. In fact, Smart Brief on leadership today started the day, and I wrote this down for this, saying, we have all been disrupted. Now that's an opportunity.
I like that.
Right, me too. And it's their lead story in Smart Brief today. Perfect timing. Forbes Careers has now a special podcast and blog dedicated to survival techniques, whether it's managing virtual, what we're doing right now, virtual connections, virtual meetings, to creating the ideal work from home sofa space, to just getting through the mental challenges. So constantly learning. I make time every day for what am I learning today, just because maybe my external stimulation has been cut off. I have ramped that up as well.
So Linda, are you making appointments to check in with that stuff, or like one of the things that I have found really useful is we always were Google Calendar people at EforAll, is that if I can literally schedule, yesterday I scheduled from 4 to 6 for that walk, and I put it in there so I had an appointment to do it. And I'm hearing from Amanda some resources that she uses are videos on YouTube, or as we both know, Shannon Ashcroft, who's a DLE alum, has been doing videos on demand for yoga. But there are lots of people doing that, but not just happenstance. This is important to me. I'm setting it as a priority. And if it means listening to NPR Marketplace at 8:10 every morning, I'm going to schedule it, and that's what I'm going to do. Because if you don't, it's too easy to get sucked into that Facebook stream or the fake news or turning the TV on or whatever it is that's your distraction.
Really good point. I mean, it was on my calendar, 6 a.m. spin, 8:25, 8:30 train with Juan. I mean, you have to, now I have new scheduling items in where I was actually doing something outside. I'm not necessarily changing my time, my learning time. I had set in learning time before. So I would spend 20 minutes a day in terms of get me smart on my Smart Briefs or what at NPR. I've expanded that to an hour now.
I would say that most of us probably were so busy with our everyday work and juggling work life that we may not have been so devoted to the learning before. But if there's some insight I can gain from what you're saying, is here's an opportunity for you to use the time. You were in the car before, you were buying groceries, you were picking the kids up from school. There may be some other time slots, and if you can schedule them with valuable activity that uses your brain and keeps you busy, first off, it keeps some of that scary stuff away and keeps you moving forward in a positive way.
Absolutely. So
okay, keep going. Sorry.
We got the mind, we got the body. The third leg of the strategy, and there are 4 parts, is my business. So my consulting business and my Dulye leadership experience. And both of these have been very entrenched in-person work. Neither really were designed for virtual platforms. And I realized that very quickly into this self-isolation period, and probably took, again, it was less than a week where I contacted a member of our DLE community who's become a tremendous resource, Marcus Coleman. He's probably listening in. And I said, Marcus, I can't sleep. It was 3 in the morning. And I sent him an email, and I said, we got to go virtual. we can't do this, can't do this. We were missing, we had missed our first in-person, we do a every Friday breakfast club. We were doing it in person. Actually, our headquarters was Otto's, which is a wonderful breakfast spot in the Berkshires. And we missed our first week, and it was literally 3 days after or 4 days after that. And I contacted Marcus and said, please help me. I am not a tech person. And when you got to know what you're good at and what I'm not good at is something that I have to go source talent. And having the blessings of a tremendous Dulye leadership experience community where people are half my age and much more skilled in frontiers that I'm not. I know you're feeling like I am. Let's rally. People want to be connected, and let's start going into virtual programming. And we have changed everything, Deborah. As you know, you've participated. And I'm going to say it's better than ever in that we have crossed into this virtual platform. And I am a people person. Realize that. I'm the hugger. I'm the one that wants to go out in public and talk to 5 strangers in line and make friends. And I realized that this connectivity is going to feel different, but we're making it happen through our Friday breakfast clubs, which anyone here who's listening, you can join in. We have people from all over the world. We had, I think, 6 states, and we had a team member from Haiti who was in Haiti in one of our breakfast clubs earlier this month. We also do bi-weekly culture chats. Breakfast clubs are really getting people together in a community. I think we got 45 or 50 talking about, well, first we were talking about how well was me, and now it's what are you doing to stay positive in your world, and sharing insights and experiences. And the cool thing, Deborah, that this has done is we have offshoots. We have one person that said, well, you know, I'm trying to teach myself Spanish. I haven't learned Spanish since high school. And last night at 5 o'clock, 4 people who didn't know each other prior to the breakfast club got together virtually and had their first Spanish practice session. An offshoot. Everyone's looking for net connectivity. So we're combining learning and networking. We do so on the Breakfast Club. Every other Friday, we have something we call the DLE Culture Chat. And we're going to be focusing this Friday on what are you doing to build your mental discipline to help you keep making realistic goals and achieving them. So again, we're trying to stay very positive and relevant in our programming. And we are linking by virtue of getting out of having to have physical meetups in the Berkshires to a very wide audience, and of people who are meeting us for the first time and meeting each other for the first time. So huge silver lining, huge, huge, huge.
Well, I think that you have found the opportunity here because you didn't let yourself wallow. You let yourself say, okay, I'm not going to be able to do business as usual, but maybe this isn't a bad thing. Maybe this is an opportunity. I consider these EforAll virtual learning webinars to be along the same lines. And for instance, I have to believe that EforAll going forward is going to have to look at our mentoring model and say, do you need to have 3 mentors meeting in person every week for this to be effective? And I think we're all learning that maybe there are some other models that can work, including these virtual meetings. So I think not accepting that, okay, I can't do business as usual, so I'm not going to do anything. It's like there's still plenty of opportunity and ways to innovate and not just take it lying down. This is some of what we'll be talking about next week as well.
Yeah, and to that point, we are making changes that are not going to go away whenever that new norm, whatever it is, happens. So on April 21st, we are having our DLE ownership workshop. Ben O'Shaughnessy, who's on the phone, is going to be leading it, and it's about time management. Now, we used to be doing workshops in person, and you know what? We were confined by how many seats were in the room where we were holding our workshops. Right now, we are confined by how many people can get on GoToMeeting, and Marcus tells me it's well over 100, it's 125, and they can come in from whatever. So if you're interested in joining in, at the end of this, I'm gonna let everybody know how you get in, what's the website. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and all Dulye Leadership Experience, but that has made us better, and we're not gonna go back. We want to have programming that has an inclusiveness, not an exclusiveness, because of geography. So I think it's kind of neat to look in all of our lives and say, what changes have you made that you're going to keep going forward because they're making us even better?
If you can look at it that way, if you can look at it instead of as a punishment, it's an opportunity. Okay, I'm ready for your fourth prong there, Linda.
Fourth one. Okay, I mentioned it in the onset that I happen to be raised by two amazing parents who really did ingrain the concept of giving back. It's fundamental to the Dulye leadership experience. We make sure of our participants always have what can they do to help their communities or nonprofits. Well, community is a big thing in the fourth prong. And through this, okay, it's different. I happen to be a member of a Berkshire Business and Professional Women. We get together, we have regular meetings, and we're growing our group. I'm happy to introduce so many of our young DLE professionals to it. But we now physically are not getting together. However, one offshoot is I was part of a committee that started a mentorship program. And I have, for the last month, been mentoring separately 3 different women in their professional development programming, and we're doing it virtually. And it is better, it's a better experience than what I thought it would be. And what's, I think, maybe you're experiencing this, and I know this is happening more on the business side. I just did a couple focus sessions with one of our large clients here and talking about the impact of virtual meetings versus in-person meetings. And what's changed is people are coming more prepared. Our programming is, our meetings, people are prepared, we have agendas, and we're making much more efficient use of time because we've had time to think about what we're going to be accomplished, whether it's in that mentoring session or in listening to my clients. Is we're starting meetings on time. People are prepared, we have agendas, and actually we're finishing on time because people have given thought to their use of an hour or 30 minutes differently than before. So my mentoring is continuing. I'm also very involved in my church. I happen to be a leader in the African Catholic community in the Berkshires. And we just went through a very momentous time in my faith, and that was Holy Week. And working with our African Catholic board, we actually had a virtual Stations of the Cross, which is a very, if you're not Catholic, it is, it's an extremely important service in celebrating the Holy Week. And we did it virtually last Friday. And it meant we have an incredibly faithful community in our African Catholic community that multilingual. We were able to unite people at 7 o'clock Friday night and visually see each other in a way that was just so uplifting. And so we're looking on what can we keep doing? We can't go to our church to keep this community connected. And then I have to just say for, friends, I'm sure all of us have friends that we haven't talked maybe as regularly as we used to, and now we are. Friends who are going through some trying times. We had a dear member of our community who had to put down her dog yesterday, and that's tough today when you can't physically be there, right? It's a very impersonal process of handing over a dog to the vet. And I think spending more time to seek out people who are going through a rough time and having conversation with them to see how they're doing. So community, and what can you do? Are there 5 people every day you can touch with your voice? Just think about that, not a text, but with your voice, so that connectivity feels even more robust. So mind, body, business, community is that strategy I've been trying to keep optimistic, resilient
pretty
through.
Good strategies. I will say with the community, I know I'm Jewish, and a lot of people did Seders over Zoom. And I have to say, we thought about it, and because there are 4 of us in the house, there was enough sort of there to be able to do our own Seder, and it was still fun and meaningful. But a lot of people loved it. They thought it was, and they included family members they probably wouldn't have seen. Grandma wasn't coming up from Florida, but if you could get her on the computer, she was actually able to get involved. I want to share a few things that I've seen EforAll doing, because I think there's some lessons here. And then I have a whole bunch of suggestions that people have given us, and hopefully we'll get some conversation going with the folks on the line as well. EforAll has a virtual daily lunch hangout. So if you want, Bring your lunch from 1 to 1:30, whoever else is available. It's like going into the lunchroom at work and just eating with whoever is there. And we've had some really fun conversations there. It's not a big thing, it's a little thing, but again, if you live alone, that could be really impactful. Friday afternoons from 4 to 5, there's a virtual cocktail party, and it has turned into a dance party. You haven't seen anything till you've seen my CEO dance. We've figured out how to play the music and people hop on. And it's a nice way to unwind the week with the people that you work with. We've literally been told to schedule that time in our day to be away from the computer, to shut it down. And people have taken to posting pictures of what they've seen on their walks, because we all live in different places, and that's been kind of cool. EforAll was set up. We're all virtual, right? So Berkshire's is here, Lowell Lawrence, all of us, we're here. So we had the equipment, and it's really shown that we can be an effective team if we all use this technology well. So I'm going to throw it back to you for just a moment. What have you seen going on among some of the DLE participants? I know you're having the Friday meetings. I heard a bunch of advice last week, including journaling, and I want to hear some of what you see people doing as coping and optimism things.
Sure. I mean, you know, one of the things we always wanted to, we like to talk about is what are you listening to? Podcasts are very popular, and again, foundation of the DLE is learning and networking. So we want to be learning through this as much as having fun and networking. And we actually have a bi-weekly newsletter every Tuesday and Friday, and we're always putting resources that come up through our DLE Breakfast Club or Culture Club in there. So yesterday's newsletter, and if you go to dle.dulye.com, go to the hub, subscribe to it, you're going to see resources that people say, well, I don't know about that one. So, I mean, an exchange of learning resources and then going back and comparing. So what's a takeaway that you got up with the Straight Up by Trent Shelton? That's a hot podcast right now. And Ear Hustle, hot podcast. So it's people talking about it and then reconnecting during the week or saying, I listened to it. Here's what I got out of it. We want to form that learning and networking. We've had people doing virtual. I don't do Jackbox. I don't know. It's a game, I guess. I'm not on that one, but they're doing Jackbox. They're doing virtual gaming. They're doing actually virtual board gaming. Virtual pizza parties. So everybody at 7 o'clock, pizzas get delivered at the same time in small, and this is a small group Zoom or whatever they're using, and they're doing a 1 hour over pizza with it all getting delivered. So it's crossing the gamut to whether it's, again, mind, whether it's body, some people teaming up with workouts and helping each other through a spin classes or watching the same spin video. They're going on at 7 o'clock, watching the same spin video, forming community through these different aspects. But the cool thing is then talking about it. So what you get out of it? How did it go? It's really interesting, Deborah, because last Friday on the Breakfast Club, the Friday 7 a.m. Breakfast Club, there was a comment that was made that really triggered a lot of chatter. And it was about, we've been thinking, one of our participants, actually happened to be Roger, my husband, said, I've been thinking a ton about my freedom and how much freedom has changed in our lives. I mean, we're being kind of prescribed on where we can go and what we can do and how far apart we have to stand from people and if we have to wear a mask. But boy, you look back at the freedoms that we all had in our lives, and maybe it'll make us think differently of that world when it comes back together. The other one was really talking about a number of our participants are in mental health arenas and the role now of virtual and Zoom in whether it's psychiatry or other avenues of mental health where there's a lot of compromise you're seeing about Zoom hacking. Right? And you got to have HIPAA, privacies and all. And so what's happening in ensuring that? Because a lot of people are now wanting to reach out to, as you said, we're not mental health professionals, but they're actually trying to reach out to mental health professionals to get them through the doomsday of week 4 or 5 in, self-isolation. But Another one that we really try to explore a lot about is, you know, regionally, what's different? We have people from every time zone in our breakfast clubs. And the best thing about this is, you know, I don't have to think Berkshires. It's different in the Rocky Mountain time zone or on the West Coast. I have an adopted son who's in San Francisco, and his world's very different than what's happening here. And I think it's really important just simply to understand the differences in all of our worlds. And there's some core mechanisms we're all trying together to kind of take control of the things we can control.
That's wonderful food for thought. I also want to add one perspective that I've had recently. My mom actually turns 80 next week. I feel bad for her because she lives in California and I will not be there with her. But we actually took our whole family away for the week between Christmas and New Year's to pre-celebrate her 80th birthday. And boy, do I feel carpe diem. I'm so glad we had that time together, because delaying things. There's a woman who's going to be a mentor, hopefully, for us for EforAll. I've had to reschedule my lunch with her 4 times. And now, of course, it's scheduled for next week and we won't be getting together. It's like, I should have worked harder to make that get on my schedule then. So this is carpe diem, and not because you could get sick, but because this is what we got. These are the rules of the game now. I have some general guidelines that I've heard people sharing online that I just kind of want to put out there for people. And if you know one that we aren't thinking of, I encourage you to share it either in the chat or you can raise your hand. First thing is take care of basics. You have to take care of yourself, your family, your health, and your well-being are prerequisites to everything else. So you need to stay well, follow all the guidelines, and continue isolating yourself. Please don't go out in the world. I know we're all just bursting out. My daughter and her boyfriend went to Trader Joe's in Albany, which is about 45 minutes away from us. You would think that they'd been children going to Santa's Toyland. They were so happy to be at Trader Joe's. And it's like, I think if they could go every day, it would make them happy. But it's like, once with your masks and your gloves and go help yourself. Don't violate the isolation just because you're getting cabin fever. Figure out another way to solve things. So create that routine. Here's a big one. Make your weekends different than your weekdays. Make sure that you do that. Shut your computer down. Don't answer your work email. You didn't do it before just because you're home. Do it now. Cam's saying he finds himself reaching out to old friends and family, which is fantastic. I know that I had a Saturday morning recently when I FaceTimed some older relatives who live alone, and they're like, why are you calling me? Because I can, because I'm worried about you. And they were so appreciative. I know it made their day. And, oh, I don't have my makeup on. You can't call me. It's like, Aunt Jane, it's okay. We can talk. So, and they so appreciate it. That's a great one, Cam. Continue your physical fitness. Linda has talked about this endlessly. It feels a little bit limited. Most of us don't have a trainer or somebody who's sending us virtual workouts, but there's a ton of them on YouTube. I think there's a whole channel on Netflix of all of these workouts. You can find them, right, Linda?
Well, yeah. Oh, gosh. A galore. And by the way, you know, people like Shannon of our daily community with Radiant Yoga and Tuan, my trainer, they've also gotten creative and started, you know, they're making businesses on this. Thank goodness. I mean, virtual has brought a new line of business, and Shannon will tell you she never thought about that before. But I'm kind of smiling because I have a dog. I have 2 dogs. Adele couldn't have been happier that this happened because Adele gets walked, 5 times more than she used to get walked. So if it's in your purveyum, if you can do it. I know the humane societies love people coming in at this time, and adoptions, and think about bringing in a dog that will absolutely enhance your physical fitness. But it's also really a companion. We have one of our young professionals actually is an engineer at General Dynamics, and he's adopted a cat. I think he adopted a cat right before this self-isolation set in. So the cat takes part in all of our breakfast clubs, and it's kind of nice to see how quickly and attached he is. And he's a single guy, and he says, quite frankly, this is my best friend. So, animal companions are a really good source of optimism at this time as well, folks.
Yeah, I will vote for cats. Dogs are great because they get you outside, which really gets to my next one about getting outside for fresh air. And now Mother Nature has not always cooperated. We one day when I think there were tornadoes and people were losing their power and there was wind and there was rain. It feels like spring is coming so slowly this year. But even if you have to put up an umbrella and put on your wellies, go on outside and enjoy the spring weather, and it will be warmer soon. At least I've been told that we are. Kelly says her 77-year-old mother would not be the same without her little dog. The four-legged friends are really important. I actually hear that animal shelters are doing really well because people are taking that advice. Thanks, Kelly.
And I know our Berkshire Humane Society is actually offering drive-through. They'll open the back of your car, and if you don't have enough dog food, they'll provide you with dog food free of charge, or cat food, whatever little companion you have at home. They're doing a tremendous job of that.
Here's one that maybe is a little bit counterintuitive, but don't overdose on the news. Just because you can get news 24/7, especially during this crisis, it's like, what's the number in New York State? What's the number in Massachusetts? Did anybody else die in Berkshire County? Sometimes knowing too much isn't going to be helpful, and I think it contributes to that whole ADHD thing, is you're getting pulled in different directions. So I've permitted myself to watch 7 minutes of the local news, the top of the news, at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock if I'm still awake at night, and that's all the news I do other than Facebook, because I think that people who get themselves into all the, should I take this supplement? Should I be taking this? Should I do that? And is it O negative? That's better than, you can get yourself overwhelmed. Stay isolated, stay safe, and don't overdose on the news. I think that that's really good advice.
I got a true confession on that one. So in my home gym, I have a television in front of the spin bike, the weights, and my erg. And, you know, I go down, turn on the news, and I'm spinning away. And I think it was last Friday, I made a conscious decision. I do a morning, I do an evening spin that I actually have nothing on. I spin in silence. Now, you got to think that's crazy, crazy, crazy. Linda, what's wrong with you? Man, not even Pippo. I mean, there's nothing on. But you know, I don't do yoga. And Shannon Ashcroft has tried. I'm really hard. I got this mind that goes and zooms. And I found, though, that has helped me. I'm a swimmer, too. So my yoga is swimming in a pool where all you have is a bathing cap, goggles, and a white line, and you get very much in the zone. So I have transported myself. I didn't know that's what was going to happen by having silence. And I'm back to just kind of listening to my breathing and focusing on my exertion with no stimuli, because that's my yoga.
I like my fitness music, but I get what you're talking about. But basically, just turn the news off. Here's one that we haven't talked about, but I think both Linda and I would agree that this is really important, is if you're fortunate enough to be in a safe, okay, good place, find ways to give back. And the best example I can think of here is our mutual friend, Kate Luzon, who's our program coordinator here at EforAll, who was already teaching people to sew and started sewing masks, and then has a whole bunch of seamstresses sewing masks and providing them to anyone who needs them, turning it into a for-profit business that can then get money back to the unemployed people who are sewing. So she's created a whole network, and that giving back has given Kate a lot of meaning. And I think whatever you can do, me personally, I help our local food pantry here in Columbia County. I do their website. I do all of their emails. I've helped keep them in perspective, making sure people are donating. But if you can find something that you can give back without endangering yourself, I don't know, maybe you can shop for a neighbor, you can create an online directory. There's so much need here. And if you can show the initiative to help other people, I think it helps your own mental health to know that you're not isolated, but you're giving back. Okay, give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you need to feel. I know people are screaming into showers, going on walks, and getting crazy, whatever it is you need to do for your mental health, you need to figure out how to do that. Be grateful for what you have.
I like to add one. I think I'm a big networker and connector. Challenge yourself to meet at least 3 new people every day. And if you have LinkedIn, it's an honest to goodness gift. You'll get recommendations on who to link in with people who are part of your community. But I had an extraordinary experience happened last Friday where I linked in with someone who I really didn't know, but he was part of Lockheed Martin, and Lockheed Martin happened to be a big Dulye and Company client. And posting something on him connected me to a friend of his who works in Fort Worth for a Lockheed facility. And within, it really was less than a day, this gentleman, his name is Alex and I became, instant friends. We had a 1-hour conversation on Friday afternoon, and he's in the course of writing his 5th book, and he's going to do a Dulye Leadership Experience virtual workshop for us. And what I found out, though, in his career, he happened to spend 10 years working in Raytheon, and he was designing software systems for one of the Zumwalt class of destroyers. The Zumwalt, Admiral Zumwalt, is who that destroyer class is named after, and his daughter happens to be a friend of mine. And what I found out in my conversation with Alex is he was very dismayed in that in his 10 years of working on these systems, he actually never got to be on one of those destroyers. So he sent me a photo of him and the closest he ever got to one, and it was, looking at it when it was the ship was away from the dock, from port, and I sent it to Ann Zumwalt, and he got a connection from the Admiral's daughter and wound up connecting several other of his colleagues who worked on the software system. And in less than 48 hours, you had an enormous gift to someone that it was just, it never would have happened if I wasn't, again, making this goal of every day meet 3 to 5 people and to meet 3 to 5 new people. And by the way, people want to connect more than ever right now.
I think that they do, and I want to encourage that. I think that's a huge goal. I am so busy with my work that I can't possibly meet that, but I think we could all set some goals. The other thing that I'll point out is that people that you may have had a more casual relationship with, this is a time when they're available and you can deepen that relationship and have a more in-depth conversation with someone than maybe they had time for before, or you can connect someone to someone else that you think that they should talk to. So one of the silver linings here is we're more available. We all have a little more time than we ever did before, and we're easier to find. It's not like I'm not on vacation. This is it, I'm here. So I want to add a few more things, and then we are really up at the top.
Just give me time to give everyone how to connect to our leadership.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Find some fun, whether it's that Jackbox, whether it's, my daughter had Spirit Day. We all dressed up in funny costumes, take funny pictures, post a contest on Facebook, do something, enjoy cooking, baking, eating. We can all do that. And a lot of people have honed their cooking skills. And my last one is, remember that this too shall pass, and keep that in perspective. So I know that some of you have hung in all the way with us. I want to give Linda a chance to tell you about what she has coming up. I will also, before I pass it off to her, tell you that next week's webinar is, what will a post-COVID world look like for small business? And I have some really neat people who we're going to have a panel discussion. No one has a crystal ball, so we're going to just sort of extrapolate and brainstorm and give some different perspectives on it. So I hope you can join me then. And Linda, tell us what you have coming up and how they can find you.
Absolutely. And you've heard from Cam is a member of our Dulye Leadership Experience. He's on. Ben, as I mentioned, who's on, he's going to be doing our virtual workshop on time management. The programming that you've heard is free, and by all means engage any of your colleagues to join in. So the website, dle.dulye.com, you can go in there and subscribe to our newsletter, The Hub. Instantly, you can also see information about the virtual breakfast club Fridays at 7 a.m. We also have that information on our Instagram, on our Facebook, on our LinkedIn. This Friday at noon is the DLE Culture Chat. Again, the Breakfast Club question we're going to be diving into at 7 a.m. is what's one thing that you're doing to be positive? It's kind of a continuum of this conversation, right? And then noon, it's going to be what are you doing to build up your mental discipline to help you keep making realistic goals and achieving them? Ben's workshop, time management. Again, as I mentioned, this is a free workshop. Own your schedule. The date for that is April 21st. You need to register now. The link to do so is at dle.dulye.com. And that program will be a 1 hour interactive, like we've had here, interactive workshop Q&A session starting at 4:45. And that's going to be on April 21st. And then our next virtual workshop on May 20th is going to feature Justin McKinnon, who is a small business owner as well as very involved with our Berkshire Innovation Center. Justin's going to be talking about career literacy. So that program, again, will have an advanced registration link every Friday, 7 a.m. Breakfast Club, and then every other Friday, we also have the Culture Chat. Please join in. We have an extraordinary community of unity, and we'd love to have you be part of it.
Thank you for all of your time and energy and gritty optimism. I think that's what you said in our little blurb. I hope that this inspired you, made you feel like you're not alone in this. And thank you all for hanging in there with us. This was brought to you by EforAll, Entrepreneurship for All, and you can learn all about us and sign up for next week's webinar as well. Thank you, everyone.
Terrific job. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.